How's it going, YouTube? I'm Landon Dallansing and welcome back to a brand new Most Amazing Top 10 video. Have you guys ever needed surgery? I actually had back surgery, 2 back surgeries in 3 days. If you guys want to watch that, you guys can click right over here. I still haven't watched my own surgery video. I was gonna do it. I chickened out. I haven't. I had a herniated disc. It was absolutely insane. I missed Christmas and it was the hardest time of my life. But I know surgery can be scary and it could fail because it failed on me. Surgery failed on me and I had to have another one and it was very painful. Okay, so there are a lot of things that can happen during surgery, even if it's a routine surgery like mine was a routine one and it had complications in it. There's a lot of documented cases of terrible things happening during surgery or after, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So this right here is the top 10 scariest surgery stories. Starting us off, number 10 is a nose job that went horribly wrong. A man who recently got divorced from his wife wanted to get a nose job to change his appearance. After the first operation, he had problems breathing properly, so he returned to the surgeon for slight adjustments. As it turns out, his surgeon did a few more, hack jobs, and 22 procedures later, his nose had pretty much been severed off. He doesn't have a nose. He was left with a collapsed nostril that was constructed out of cartilage from his ear and rib cage. To make matters worse, his nose only had one hole and it needed to be propped open with a plastic straw so it doesn't cave in and suffocate him. A huge mistake comes in at number 9. A patient was in the operating table for a reverse colonoscopy in which surgeons was supposed to reattach his healed colon onto his anus. However, one of the attending surgeons failed to reconnect the colon onto his anus. Instead, they stapled his colon to his bladder. For those of you who don't know, stool moves around through your colon and it's supposed to leave through your butts. But all jokes aside, for this poor soul, he was pooping through his front area, his genital areas. I mean, we can all laugh, but this is a pretty big fail. Up next, at number 8, we have a surgeon who removed the wrong leg. Okay, so this guy has to get double amputations now because the good leg's gone. What about the bad one? Well, this huge mistake actually occurs more than you think. A surgeon in Florida accidentally removed the wrong leg during an amputation procedure back in 1995. I mean, that's still modern history, right? How do you mess up? As it turns out, the wrong leg was prepped for surgery and the surgeon team realized it in the middle of the procedure that they were actually operating on the wrong leg. But it was already too late. Imagine that guy waking up and finding out that news. Hey, we took your good leg. We couldn't start on your bad leg yet. We're gonna have to cut that one off tomorrow. You're a double amputee. Okay, a man's penis, his private part, is whooshing chopped off for no reason. I mean, why? Is this real life right now? Well, this comes in at number 7. This is what nightmares are made of. Herschel Rouse was 67 years old when he went under the knife in order to remove a cancerous tumor from his bladder. The good news is the surgery worked. He's now cancer free. But the bad news is he lost his penis. During the operation, the surgeons decided to remove his penis in order to prevent the cancer from spreading, but he didn't even inform the patient or his wife that this would be a possibility. This would be an outcome of the surgery. And the surgeons didn't even check if the cancer had even spread to his reproductive organs. What if there was no cancer in there? How does this guy go pee? Number 6 brings us to the surgical items that were left inside of a man's body. How does this sort of thing happen? Well, there are so many people in the operating room taking inventory of each medical tool used. I mean, this is a huge mistake and I smell an even bigger lawsuit. Do you guys smell it? It's burning. Dirk Schroeder underwent surgery to remove a tumor, but he ended up getting more than he bargained for. During his recovery, he was experiencing excruciating pain and a nurse noticed a gauze pad leaking out of his wound. It was later discovered that the surgeons had left 16 surgical items in his body. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 16. There was a surgical mask, a needle, a roll of bandages. Is this real life right now? I have to ask. Another case of surgeons leaving items in a patient's body comes in at number 5. A patient underwent a surgery in order to remove a tumor that was in his abdomen. The tumor was successfully removed, but the 13-inch metal retractor was left in its place. A doctor admitted to leaving the 13-inch object in his abdomen by mistake, and fortunately they were able to remove it, but it took almost 2 months for them to discover that they made this mistake. Another huge mix-up comes in at number 4. Derry Eason was a 35-year-old mother who was told that she had breast cancer, so she had to have both of her breasts removed. She went for a second opinion, but that doctor used the result from the first doctor and recommended the surgery as well. As it turns out, a technician actually tried to cut corners while labeling tissue specimens, and he had made a huge mistake. Derry had never had breast cancer. She was actually quite healthy, and she had both of her breasts removed for no reason. She went through so much mental and physical pain for nothing. I really hope she is rich now, but no money can bring your boobs back. Well, actually, yeah, maybe, yeah, you can probably buy new ones, but I don't want to joke at this situation because that is pretty awful. Okay, number 3 brings us to a wrong-sided brain surgery. Like, you're screwing up the wrong side of your brain? I thought it was mandatory for surgeons to go to medical school. Like, when you learn left brain, right brain? Maybe in grade 3, I don't know. So what happened here? Well, for the 3rd time, doctors at a Rhode Island hospital have operated on the wrong side of the patient's head. 3rd time. Why did they even allow it the 2nd time? How can this type of mistake happen 3 times? One patient required an operation to stop bleeding between her brain and skull, and when they started the operation, they began on the wrong side. They closed up her skull and made an incision on the other side. I still can't believe like something like this would happen, like wrong legs, wrong side of the brain. Like when they opened it up and realized there's nothing wrong, what did they do? Surgery without anesthesia creeps into number 2. This is a big fear of a lot of people and maybe me. I don't want to be waking up during my back surgery. This has to be the worst case scenario ever. Sherman Sizemore literally went through hell when he suffered from a rare phenomenon called anesthesia awareness, in which he didn't receive enough anesthetics, so he didn't go to sleep. He was able to feel every decision the surgeon was making, he was feeling it. But he was unable to move or communicate what was happening to the doctors. I can't even begin to understand what he must have felt. I mean, I go through a paper cut and I'm screaming, like I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. And then my wife looks at me like I'm just crazy, but it's so deep, it hurts. So, I don't know, like, did this guy go through modern day torture? Finally, number 1, we have a girl who died after receiving a wrong heart and lungs. Back in 2003, a 17-year-old girl died after surgeons transplanted the wrong heart and lungs. The surgeons immediately went in for a second operation in order to fix their mistake, but she suffered from brain damage and complications that ultimately killed her. This teenage girl had type O blood, and she just received organs from a type A donor. I know, I'm no surgeon, but that just doesn't make sense to me. The hospital blamed human error for the death of this young girl, and they settled with the family for an undisclosed amount. But there's no amount of money that will ever help this family get over the death of their little girl. It's just a huge mess up. And maybe there should be some jail time in this one. I don't know. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all when we do this whole thing all over again.